Alright guys, Alex from the great state of Texas coming at you again for another episode of Ammo and Gun News. So I noticed when I did this last time there was actually a pretty good response. So I figured why not do another one? There's so much going on right now. So to start off, we're going to go ahead and highlight what we talked about last time and some updates with it. Right now, Gander Mountain, as we talked about, they claimed bankruptcy, they're closing 32 stores, they're liquidating a lot of their inventory, shutting down most of their stores, keeping a few, and we'll probably try to regrow from there because, as you probably already realized, the political climate right now has caused a big slow in gun and ammo purchases. So Gander Mountain is closing 32 stores. I went in there myself, and it looks like they're going to be finishing the liquidations of my store, my area, sometime like August, September is what they were thinking, but they hadn't been told officially. So we'll see what comes of those dates. And then another deal here recently, we've had Federal Cartridge laid off 110 employees, but that's really less than 10%. The plant had 1,430 employees. They were actually planning a $33.9 million expansion of the plant that was supposed to open up 50 new jobs, and $1.15 million of that had come from grants from state and local city officials and grants, things like that. So they actually went back and gave that money back and said, look, we want that to go to the local city where it belongs. We're going to need some time before we can do this expansion correctly and add 50 additional jobs. And as a matter of fact, we're cutting the employees, and we don't want to take the money that's meant for the city and use it for our plant and not be able to fill it with your citizens. So moving on, there's the Remington deal. Remington just laid off a whole bunch of people, 122 at a plant, 39 in Huntsville. Many of them, well, not many of them, but a few of them are actually uppers and executives, so that was pretty impressive. That was last month in March. Moving on again, I thought this was interesting. The Bass Pro Shops acquisition of Cabela's, looking shaky. Last information, February 18th. Hadn't heard anything at all. Hope it turns out for everybody. I know we all probably have a bunch of those Cabela's cards and want to use them, so I thought that was interesting. Okay, so that kind of covers what we've already talked about. Now I'd like to move into some new stuff going on with politics and local bills of different states and stuff, municipalities, and let's see what we got first. Arizona governor signs blockchain bill into law. Okay, cool. What's blockchain? Well, blockchain is basically a signature secured through blockchain technology, is considered to be an electronic form and to be an electronic signature. A record or contract that is secured through blockchain technology is considered to be an electronic form and to be an electronic record. And I think that's the important word there, record. Now, what could they do with that? I don't know. Who cares, right? They just electronic record. Sounds good to me. Moving right along. Oh, check this out. Arizona's blockchain gun tracking bill is close to becoming law. Whoa, huh? Who said gun tracking? Last bill just said blockchain. Well, anyway, they wanted to use it so that they can keep track of your private sales of your gun after you purchase it. And they do actually cite that if they ever needed to come pick up the firearms, they would know exactly where they were, no matter how many times the firearms have changed hands. That's bullshit. You don't need to know where my property is. It's my property. I'm allowed to bear arms to protect myself from all threats, foreign and domestic. And boy, that really sounds like a threat to me from the domestic side. But I like my government, don't get me wrong. Just also about my constitutional rights and my Second Amendment rights. And, all my rights, really. But, I just can't believe that this is something they're trying to push through. And apparently, neither can other people, because check this out. Arizona House poised to approve anti-background check bill, a measure outlawing any future background check mandates for the transfer of private property, including firearms, received approval on the House floor via voice vote Monday. A formal vote on the measure has yet to be scheduled, but apparently somebody already thought enough to put this into place to go ahead and block that other block track bullshit. So that's cool. Now, Alabama. Senate passes constitutional carry measure. They were already an open carry state. Now they went to constitutional carry, where you can have concealed carry without a permit. And when quoted, why aren't you worried about the possible finances you're going to lose from selling the permits? They were said, well, if reciprocity goes through, you'll still need a permit to carry in other states, and they're sure that many people will still buy those, so that when they travel, they can have that. But props to Alabama. I'm really proud of you. Force those Second Amendment rights. Give your citizens rights. Don't take them away. I mean, wow, how silly do you have to be to lose rights? Anyway, Way to go, Alabama. Really proud of that. Moving right along. Iowa's most expansive gun rights bill ever is now law. Cool. These guys are catching up with the people around them. Governor Terry Branstad made Iowa one of the friendliest states in America for gun owners. Okay, let me find the section. Stofferson was most critical of the bill's stand your ground provision, which says citizens who are not doing anything illegal can lawfully use reasonable force, including deadly force, if they believe their lives are being threatened. The bill also frees a person who kills an aggressor from civil liability if he or she can justify the use of force. Okay, that's all good stuff. I mean, from where I'm at in the state of Texas, that's all good stuff. The provision has raised concerns, though, that the bill would do more than increase gun violence in the state. Senator Nate Bolton said state law already allows Iowans to use deadly force if they're threatened in their homes or place of employment, adding that a stand your ground law could lead some to misunderstand when deadly force may be used. I think anytime we are expanding the use of deadly force, we do have to be cautious about that, Bolton said. The reality is when you have a gun violence situation and someone is killed with a gun, we'll leave it at our courts to interpret and apply what the situation was that led to that death. And I think that's the way to do it. I mean, isn't that what we created the justice system for? You're not supposed to go sue the gun manufacturer for making a gun. You're not supposed to go sue the bullet company for giving you a bullet. You're supposed to go to court and go after the person that committed the crime. If I run you over in my car, you don't go sue Ford. So other provisions include allowing children under 14 to use pistols or revolvers as long as they're supervised by an adult age 21 and older, legalizing concealed carry at state capitol buildings and grounds, prohibiting the government from confiscating firearms during state emergencies, legalizing short barrel rifles and shotguns, making records of permit holders confidential. The bill also would prohibit prosecutors from stacking an additional firearm charge if the weapon has nothing to do with the crime. I can see that last part is good as bad. If there's a criminal rolling around in his ride, and he's got a doobie and a loaded gun, and he's selling, and it's obvious he's got scales, and he's got baggies for, selling in smaller quantities, and he's got a large quantity, he's got a gun, he's a drug dealer. File him for a felony in possession of a firearm during the use of drug trafficking, okay? I'd have no problem with that. But if I'm with my wife and we go to the bar and I get pulled over and I'm .081 and I do have my carry piece, that makes you a felon as well, just, because you had 2 drinks in an hour on your way home from dinner or something, so I could see where it could be helpful. I could see where both ways could be helpful. When I was in the STARS program at Rose State and OSU and Oklahoma City, they would tell us, save compounding the charges for the true scofflaws that deserve it. Don't, it's at the discretion of the officer if I want to charge you for all the crimes you've committed. And generally, if you're a jerk, you're probably going to get them. If you haven't been a jerk, you're probably going to be okay. Gun control groups vow demonstration at Trump's speech to NRA. Okay, so this is moving on. We're done with the politics side of things. Well, not really. I mean, it's all politics. We're talking guns here. But this is news, media kind of stuff. And of course, they're going to go vow. We won't be silenced. We don't care. We're unhappy. Rah, rah, rah. Bish, boom, bah. President Trump's attending at the National Rifle Association convention later this month is drawing vows of street protest by gun control groups. Shannon Watts, founder of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, said the group's volunteers will be in Atlanta during the NRA's annual meeting, just as we have been showing up at town halls and in state house across the country to stand up for the safety of our families and communities. Yeah, because a less protected community is definitely safer. I'm sorry, but these people are nuts. Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America is definitely one of the more nutty groups out there. And I like this woman, Shannon Watts, right? She didn't say, I'm going to be there. I have an opinion. She said, groups, volunteers will be in the Atlanta during the... Not me. I'm not... I can't. That's a long way. I don't know. I care a lot, but I don't care that much. These people are normally just nut jobs. Mr. Trump's expected to become the first sitting president since Ronald Reagan in 1983 to address the NRA-ILL Leadership Forum on April 28th. He received enthusiastic support from gun rights groups and gun owners during the campaign last year, and we won all over the place, so be very, very happy. So, of course, they're not done. If you've noticed, if you watch the news, they're ticked, they're here, we don't listen. Moving on, Southwest Airlines pilot arrested on gun charge after loaded firearm found in carry-on. So this guy, apparently they don't normally screen pilots. He forgot he had it in there. He'd already flown once with it, got caught with it through carry-on, and, they're like, oh, pat on the back to the TSA people did that. You caught a guy who's a pilot. If the restrictions for being a pilot aren't strong enough where he can carry a firearm, I feel really scary about who's allowed to be a pilot. But they're like patting him on the back. Oh, through cooperation of local security and police departments. But bullshit. He's a pilot. Let him carry a gun. He should have one. Hell, I mean, I don't really see a problem with this. Comment down below. Let me know how you feel, because I get that it could be a problem for anyone to have a gun, but I mean, they got air marshals up there. Why can't the pilot have a gun? I'm fine with it. You didn't catch a criminal. You caught a pilot. I'm sorry. No, I don't give credit for it. TSA, I still think you're worthless. Okay. Suspect shoots 3 dead in Fresno, yells Allah Akbar when tackled by police. Look at that guy. That looks like a Middle Eastern Muslim if I have ever seen one. Dreadlocks, Beats earphones. He got the ghetto stash. I definitely see a lot of Allah Akbar hair. No, this to me, he's got the 5 o'clock shadow in the eye. He probably took this picture at, 10, 11, noon when he woke up. But a suspect who opened fire, killing 3 in Fresno, alleged to say Allah Akbar as police jumped on him and took him to the ground. Now, if you read it, he's got a Facebook, of course, like all these thug criminals do. Gotta yell at my whips, right? That Todd over there. So, he's not a Muslim. He's not a domestic terrorist. I mean, I guess you could consider him that if you consider all gang members and local threats domestic terrorists, which you could by definition, by some offense. But he's not, he's not ISIS. He's not Al-Qaeda. This guy's just confused. They said in his Facebook he was anti-government and racist. So this turned out to be a racist case. This is another case of, in the gun world, it's not always what you think it is. It can always be something else. And sometimes we jump on it words, the local fantasy words, so that, we can get some extra publicity, right? I bet this guy probably is a rapper. Wait till June Weaver Cleaver, the nigga Weaver, is in jail and is spitting dope raps. So, moving right along. Deadly silence. The NRA is scheming to profit off gun silencers at the cost of public safety. Now look at this gun they chose, 22, because I know that's what I'm going to be shooting people with my silencer is a 22. I mean, it is a deadly round, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I think it's cute they used like the tiniest gun they could. Maybe it was a liberal that took the picture and he had to touch it. I don't know. And they figured at least if he touched the round, it went off and jumped in his head, it'd be a smaller round. I don't know. But anyway, I found it funny they use cartoons to get their point across. It's probably millennials, just gauging. And then look at the 2 guys. I don't know if you could see it in the pictures, but they're both pretty young. One girl looks really cute, white collar, white class, Caucasian. The other guy, an ethnic diversity for sure, and they both look very, very intelligent, very intelligible, very well kept, and I'm sure neither of them have ever even touched a gun, much less know anything about them. But they're very against them, and they use these cute little cartoons so that they can keep the interest of their fellow millennials. What possible reasons could you have? They talk about us wanting them for hunting, and then they talk about how it makes it less safe and how all the cameras that are capturing gunshots would be useless, and I get their point, but they talk about things such as like Sandy Hook, which shows me their ignorance, right? And then moving right along, gun violence is a public health crisis from the same website, usnews.com. Obviously a heavy Democrat, anti-Republican, anti-gun news site, because they got a bunch of this crap everywhere. You scroll through this, and again it cites all the shootings and the more cutie little cartoons, and we've got to get control of this. It's so bad. Okay, what do we need? More surveillance, more data to understand the scope of gun violence problems. We need more data. Just keep an eye on more people, okay? 32 states already have these little fucking cameras, and they want them on all 50. Better research on which approaches to reducing gun violence work and which don't. So yeah, of course, because you're trying to ban them all, you want to see if that works, right? Hey, does this work? I don't know. Hey, let's try it. It sounds good to me. I don't care. I don't have guns. I don't need them. I live in a really rich community where I lock myself away at night in my tiny little condo, and my scariest time is when I have to walk through the parking garage. So anyway, what else do we have? Additional resources for mental health services and school and community-based prevention services. Okay. Better use of existing safety technology. The technology exists to prevent unauthorized access to guns in homes and businesses and unintentional shootings. Too frequent, we read about young boy or girl who accidentally shoots their siblings or a playmate with a parent's gun. Tragedies that simple safety measures can prevent. Yes, because what I want is to have a threat in front of me and me say, hold on, sir, you have to allow me to utilize my safety measures. Let me put my finger on my little safe. Let me take the lock off my gun. Let me get my ammo and load my magazine, which I store separately, and please don't rape my wife or kill my children or rob me of my things or beat me up or kill us or burn us inside my home, because we've all heard stories like that. So I love when they talk about safety measures can prevent this. Common sense gun policies. With common sense, you know why? What is common sense? It's very different. It's not very common anymore. It's common for each sect or group to have similar thoughts, but it's not common for everybody to have the same sense of what that thought is. So I think that's not commonly sensical as their gun policy of common sense. With over 300 plus million firearms, it's hard to believe we don't have a comprehensive criminal background checks and that Congress has repealed the federal assault weapons ban. Yes, because it's unconstitutional. Yeah, idiots. So anyway, they again cite Sandy Hook. I thought Sandy Hook was pretty much figured out. This horrible tragedy, which FEMA capstone event unraveling more proof Sandy Hook was staged. Okay, now if you go through here, you can find the FBI report on Sandy Hook that's been redacted. Look at this. Let me read this to you, okay? Blank moved to blank years ago. The blanks used to have blank. Blank, every year the blank was in blank when blank blank was in blank. Blank told blank that blank had blank into a blank. Blank had made it through the blank. Blank and the blank blank believed that blank were either blank or blank blank had to conceive blank that blank was just blank and was blank. I could keep going with this, but there's no freaking point. The FBI report has been redacted so bad there's literally nothing you can pull from it. 60-something pages of the 175 pages or whatever were redacted completely. The others are redacted so heavily they're nothing to them. You can't get anything out of them. Now, why would that be? Maybe because if you really look around, FBI admits Sandy Hook was a hoax. Sandy Hook was a hoax. So it's hard to see in this, but there were 0 deaths reported in that town that year. Apparently 5 forcible rapes, but 0 robberies. I don't know how that happens. And it's if we look at the Sandy Hook stuff, it's pretty clear the FBI is covering something up. It was really like a test to see how emergency officials would react, how it would work, how the FBI could take place, and to see how the whole thing worked for future efforts. And I totally get that, but don't lie to us. And then especially if you're lying to us, and the people trying to go against guns are so ignorant that they're going to cite that information in their anti-gun legislation, or not legislation, but propaganda. I mean, that is just ridiculous. Get with the program, guys. At least do your own Googling here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. Now, on to the last 2 points here. And they're both sad. I hate ending on a sad note. Maybe I should end on a good note next time. But widow of slain delivery driver wants ban on hollow points bullets. Oh, woe is me, said the single mom who's unemployed with 9 kids and no work history. I'm sorry. You should have prepared better. I mean, but this is not an amount of preparedness. This is an amount of what she wants. She wants the ban of hollow point bullets. Okay, well, I want the government to take care of my 9 kids because I can't work, because I ain't never worked. I don't know how to work. And so the government, somebody needs to pay for my kids suffering. You see them suffering. Well, yeah, you didn't prepare for your 9 kids. However your situation went, you ended up alone. That's unfortunate, but it's always been a possibility of the world. But no, now because we live in today's millennial government times, it's somebody else's fault. Somebody else needs to come help you because you can't help yourself, right? You put yourself in that position. So this is kind of the same deal in that she doesn't want hollow point bullets because her husband got killed by one. And I'm sure they're very nice people, and my heart pours for her. But at the same time, you're taking away my ability to protect myself and my family. You are now opening up a threat to me that I can no longer reduce because of your individual point. Woe is me, says the mom, right? Oh, I need, my life would be different if my husband was still here. She asked Walmart to stop selling the hollow point bullets. They refused. She's now just, I will be heard. I will be heard, right? My husband could still be here. And my heart pours, but we cannot continue to limit ourselves every time somebody is hurt by something. I mean, if you look up just real quick, I'm going to sit here, sorry for my hands being in the way, top 5 murder weapons. I'm sure all of us have done this. Okay, 10 most common murder weapons in the United States. Let's see what they are. Explosives. Okay, so let's ban all explosives. Makes sense, but that gets more complicated because if you know how to make explosives, you know what needs to be banned. Poisons, let's ban all poisons. Well, poisons can be made from chemicals that we use every day, so that'd be kind of hard. No chlorine, no ammonia, no sulfur. Okay, drowning. So no water. We can't have swimming pools. That's my daughter drowned in a swimming pool. We need to ban all swimming pools. Narcotics. Okay, my son was addicted to opiates because he got a back injury and then he died from overdose from the opiates. We need to ban all opiates, even, to keep him from this happening again. Well, there was an addiction possibility there. Okay, moving on. Fire. We need to ban all fire. Fire keeps us warm, creates energy, combustion, energy. But that's dangerous. One time there was a fire. My uncle was drunk. He didn't wake up. The house burned down around him. We need to ban fire. And alcohol. Why not? Okay, strangulation, asphyxiation. Plastic bags. My daughter put her head in a plastic bag and, she almost died. We got to ban plastic bags. It was bad. If she hadn't popped a hole for her mouth, I don't know what she'd have done. I joke, but blunt objects. Okay, blunt objects. Hammers. Can't have a hammer anymore. Brick. Can't have bricks. Can't have a home of brick. That I had an uncle get hit in the head with a brick and he died. Bricks are bad. Personal weapons. So I guess this would be like your hands, your fists, body parts. So we had to ban use of all those because one guy got beat to death with some other guy's bare hands. Knives and cutting instruments. Yeah, no kitchen knives. I kind of saw that coming. Women get angry in the kitchen all the time. I stay out of there when mine's angry. And then, of course, they're going to say it's the gun, right? Woe is me. It is the gun. Number one firearms deaths, 800 and 855 in 2012. Actually, I don't know about that quote, but I had to do this for comical reasons, right? Because woe is me on all the things that cause death in this world, and we need to ban them. So, feel bad for that woman. On the same topic, there isn't, and I don't have an article for it. I'm going to move, well, I guess I'll leave you on the teeny bopper page. No, you guys probably wouldn't like that. That's not y'all. I'll leave you on Fists of Doom. There was one more, and for this person as well, I feel sorry. There's a politician, and I can't remember what state or municipality or city it was. Son's Navy SEAL veteran, came home, committed suicide. So he's putting a bill into position to get voted on where if somebody says you're unstable, maybe you want to hurt somebody, maybe you want to hurt yourself, they can enact this thing where they come pull your weapons for a year, and to make sure you get psychiatric evaluation or whatever you need to do to please their 1 year timeline and say, okay, I'm normal again, I'm not mad. Well, it's like Minority Report, that movie where if you thought about killing somebody, you would end up in jail and they'd come get you and charge you with murder before the death because you thought about it. You're probably going to do it, right? Well, man, if that had happened, I'm pretty sure all of us would be in jail. I mean, how many times your boss asks you to stay late on a Friday and you're like, oh, I'll stab that mother. Just want to say this, Alex from Texas. Stay smart, stay safe, stay shooting. Keep watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Make sure you hit all the alerts button. Let me know what you think. I'll keep the news stuff coming. All right.